All right, here is how you assemble your flute. Now the flute comes in a case. Most cases have different kinds of latches, so make sure you know how to open and close your case. But almost all of them will have the logo on the top or the words from where you rented it facing the musician as they open it. Make sure you can read the words, that way you know that the lid is on top rather than accidentally opening it upside down, which would be really, really, really bad. You don't want that to happen. You can have your flute spill all over the floor. So the flute comes in 3 pieces. The first piece is going to be called the head joint or mouthpiece. It has an embouchure hole. This is where your embouchure goes and where you blow into. We attach that to the main body of the flute. It only goes on one end. It doesn't fit on the other. You're just going to give a light push and slight twist. You shouldn't have to push that hard. If you have to push really hard, bring it to Mr. Coons. Something might be dented. Never push really hard when assembling your flute. The last piece of the flute, we have the head joint, the body joint. So if you imagine this as a person, we have our head, our body, and this is called the foot joint, and it goes at the very bottom. Now, this one has a special, this flute by Yamaha has special triangles that tell you how to align the foot joint, but most flutes don't have this. As you play the flute, you will learn that you need to put your fingers 1, 2, 3, and then pinky here, and 1, 2, 3, pinky on the foot joint. So see how my pinky here and these fingers are all in line? We want to make sure that the foot joint is in line in the same way. So notice that the key rods, these long rods that hold the keys to the flute, there's one that goes along the body, or well, there's a few, but there's one main one that goes along the body of the flute, and it does not line up with the main key rod on the foot of the flute. Instead, we want to line all of these keys, all these circle keys, with our pinky key right here, so that our fingers can go on top here and our pinky rests right there next to that. So the best rule of thumb is if you line up all of the circles, you're in good shape, okay? You might need to twist this pinky towards you, as it'll be different for everyone's hands, but that is the correct setup, okay? You want this right pinky key to be sitting next to this circle when you attach the foot joint. And when you take it apart, a slight twist and pull. This goes back where it came from, and if it doesn't fit easily, try a different way, and until it falls into place. There we go, there's the correct spot in the case. Putting an instrument in the case can be kind of a puzzle. If you need to, you can take a picture before you take it out of the case so you know how to put it back in. But most of the time, if you can't put it in the case, for example, if I had this piece backwards, it doesn't sit, I can't close it, that's a sign that something's not in the right spot. So you just kind of, oh, maybe I'll try it backwards, maybe I'll spin it a couple of times. You know, you want the mouthpiece not to be upside down, you want the tone hole or the embouchure hole facing up, and if it closes, you got everything in the right spot. You should never need any kind of force to close your case or put your flute together. Now, a couple of things to notice. Some flute cases will have a cleaning rod. We don't need to worry about this yet, but it looks like a big knitting needle with an eye on the end, just like a knitting needle would, and a handle on the other. A flute has a special piece inside of the head joint, and that's here on the end. You'll notice this part of the flute, the foot joint, you can see all the way through. It's a full tube, and same thing with the body. It is open on both ends. You can see through it like a telescope. But the head joint you cannot look through like a telescope. There's a piece blocking it, okay? This needs to stay on. Do not take it off. Now we might adjust this in class, and I might help you fix things if it's set up incorrectly. But most of the time when you rent it, it should be set up already. So you don't need to worry about it. Just make sure that this stays inside the flute. Don't take it out. One of the first things we're going to do when we play our flute on the head joint is playing across the tone hole or the embouchure hole and putting our finger in this end and changing the note like this. So that's going to be one of the first things we do, and it's super fun to do at home. With my finger, it can get stuck because it's a big adult finger. So if you need to use your pinky finger, you can do that too. or you can cover the end and get a different note. So playing around with those kind of things are a great way to annoy your parents or your pets or your brothers and sisters or anyone else at home that needs some annoying. You can just walk around. It's really fun. Also pretending like it's a slide whistle is also really fun. Try not to get your fingers stuck and practice making a good sound on the head joint before you add it to the rest of the flute. We'll talk about that on the first day of class with our flutes, but now you know some stuff to get ready and get started at home. Flute players, if you're going to play at home, make sure that when you play, your left hand comes first, then your right hand. Left hand, then your right hand. And it's going over your right shoulder, okay? Make sure it's going over your right shoulder. If it's going the other way, like this, look how my arms are crossed. We don't want arms crossed. Arms are not crossed this way. If you get your hands switched and you put your right hand first, it's going to be all sorts of wacky weird. You're not going to see, if you play the flute this way, you won't see the key rods. The key rods are facing the audience. The key rods need to face you. So take these key rods and make sure that they face you, the musician. All right, there's our warning music as we have second period starting here, so I hope everyone is able Okay, so now you know what's in your case for flute. There's not a lot of maintenance. The main thing that you need to know is not to get your flute wet. There are pieces on here that need to stay dry. So do not get it wet. If it seems dirty, you can bring it to Mr. Coons and I can help you clean it. If something breaks, try to collect all the pieces. If it breaks, put it in a little Ziploc bag and bring it to school and I will help you fix it. All right, and when you close your case, make sure your click's all the way closed. Maybe squeeze it a little bit. Oops, see, I missed that other click. So squeeze it a little bit before you grab it by the handle. Lots of times flute players won't check that it's closed all the way and they'll go to pick it up by the handle and the cover will open up and all the flute pieces fall out. Ooh, no good. So make sure it's closed before you pick it up. Your flute needs to go in your locker when you get to school and needs to go home with you at the end of the day. It does not go in your backpack to every class. That's how they get damaged. So keep them here in our school lockers for band, not in the hallways, the band room lockers, and you'll be all set. All right, have fun practicing flutes. Bye.